Brought to you by BMW of Alexandria.
Have a great Friday. It's 8 o'clock.
New U.S. action in Iraq.
Targeted airstrikes and a humanitarian effort.
Tropical storm Isel.
Hurtled Hawaii's largest island.
40 years after Nixon.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kane with the CBS World News Roundup. It's a dramatic new chapter for the United States in Iraq nearly 3 years after American troops left the country. A military response to help tens of thousands of religious refugees stranded on a northern mountain cut off by Sunni militants.
They're without food. They're without water. People are starving. Children are dying of thirst.
President Obama laid out the plan last night to
Come on, man.
And he's taking action to protect some U.S. troops and diplomatic staff in northern Iraq.
Stop the advance on Erbil. I directed our military to take targeted strikes against ISIL terrorist convoys should they move toward the city.
Pentagon correspondent David Martin says U.S. planes have already been in action delivering some food and water.
What happened is quite significant in terms of the American commitment to what happens in the future, despite the vast military commitment that run short of food and water again, as long as they remain surrounded by these ISIS fighters. They really can't come off that mountain.
3 days of peace are over in the Mideast. CBS's Kennedy McCormick begins our coverage from Tel Aviv.
Violence resumed as soon as the ceasefire expired. Short-range rockets from Gaza began raining down on southern Israel. At first, there was no response from Israel when its delegation left the Cairo truce talks. Then Israeli airstrikes began. There are casualties already. Almost a quarter of the Palestinians killed in the past month have been children, as we hear from CBS's Clarissa Ward in Gaza City.
At the Shifa Hospital, the pediatric ward is still packed. Brothers Mohammed, Omar, and Musa Wahda were all seriously burned and wounded by shrapnel when the house they were sheltering in was hit. Their mother was killed in the strike. Their relatives have decided not to tell them for now. Doctors say as soon as these children are stable, they will have to be cared for at home. For many, there is no home to go to.
I'm Charlie Dagada in the Israeli town of Hadera, where 5-year-old Alfek and his 2 little sisters have been away from their home for a month. Their parents, Kobe and Shira Revivo, fled from the Gaza border to northern Israel, trying to dodge Hamas rockets.
I am a refugee. I am completely a refugee.
Last week, a rocket fell in a playground not far from their home. But most Israeli border children have stopped playing outside. They play indoors, never far from bomb shelters.
I can see my daughter. She's afraid from many things.
But Shira says she realizes the situation is much worse in Gaza.
Well, now to Hawaii. Isel has been downgraded to a tropical storm as it sweeps through. CBS's Megan Shaban is in Hilo.
Isel is still hovering over us, soaking the Big Island here. Now, once the storm clears, the National Guard will help conduct damage assessments, but Isel is expected to dump as much as a foot of rainfall in some areas before moving on to the rest of the Hawaiian Islands.
Just behind Isel in the Pacific Ocean is Hurricane Julio. It's now a Category 3 storm. Then the World Health Organization is urging the international community to respond to West Africa's Ebola crisis, calling it a public health emergency. At least 932 deaths are blamed on the outbreak. It's 4 minutes after the hour. The Pentagon and Beyond is brought to you by Airbus Group.
Why are terror suspects questioned aboard U.S. warships in international waters? It's the Obama administration's alternative to the black sites the CIA used to use to hold and question suspects over long periods of time, sometimes using what's called harsh interrogation techniques. The ships provide a place for investigators to find out what the suspects know before handing them off to the U.S. justice system for prosecution. I'm J.J. Green.
Just above the Potomac, an Airbus Dolphin helicopter helps the Coast Guard protect our nation's capital. At 35,000 feet, an Airbus A321 airliner comfortably connects 200 passengers from New York to LA. Over 20,000 miles up, Airbus satellites transmit vital information to Homeland Security personnel down on the ground, where Airbus emergency call systems ensure that help is on the way. Airbus Group, we connect and protect at every level. WTOP.
55-year-old Detroit area man faced life in prison at sentencing later this month. Theodore Wafer was convicted yesterday in the shooting death of a drunk 19-year-old woman last November on his front porch. Anisha McBride banged on his door after a before-dawn car accident. Her mother says justice was done.
It was overwhelming. I kept the faith, so I'm very pleased. I'm astonished.
Wafer testified during the trial he feared for his life and acted in self-defense. A day after California Airlines stowaway Marilyn Hartman called what she did stupid, she was arrested again yesterday at Los Angeles International Airport, says police official Pat Gannon.
She spent about 1 hour here at the airport, going into several terminals, and what appeared to be that she was scouting them out.
That's a violation of her probation. It's not clear what charges Hartman might face. The strong are getting stronger in college sports. The NCAA has given 5 top conferences the green light to essentially make their own rules. Sports writer Chris Dufresne of the Los Angeles Times says it could lead to schools giving additional money beyond a scholarship to some athletes.
As the money has gotten larger and larger and larger and where it is today, those conferences and basically those 5 commissioners have become the most powerful people in the sport.
40 years ago today, the most powerful man in the free world was announcing his resignation.
To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But as president, I must put the interests of America first.
Here's CBS News correspondent Chip Reed.
In the moments before President Richard Nixon announced his resignation, he ordered almost everyone out of the Oval Office.
Only the CBS crew now is to be in this room.
The crew included George Christian.
There were only 2 people allowed from the crew in the room.
His job was crucial, but he worried that Nixon would tell him to leave too.
I'm standing there with afro and bell bottoms and not looking like I'm doing very much, as if I just roamed into the room.
So he hid behind the camera. It was Christian's first time in the Oval Office.
I was scared to death.
Did you sense any emotion coming from the president?
I could sense the embarrassment, I think.
You had a front row seat on history.
I wasn't sitting, though. I was standing, hiding behind the camera.
This is Steve Futterman in Yorba Linda, California. Here at the Nixon Library, many people coming to visit are still conflicted about the former president.
I think most of us are a bit embarrassed for him, and yet he did some really good things that we need to remember.
People remember watching the resignation speech.
It was just a moment in history where you just stop.
Some view Nixon as a tragic figure.
He's a great American who made mistakes.
Steve Futterman, CBS News, Yorba Linda, California.
Montana Democratic Senator John Walsh has quit his re-election campaign amid allegations he plagiarized major portions of a 2007 paper he wrote for a master's degree. He says he'll stay in office through January. Wall Street before the bell, S&P futures up 5 points. Time on the roundup, 8 past the hour.
And coming up here on WTOP, get your telescopes ready. There's a supermoon sighting coming this weekend. And at 8:40, the West Nile virus hits a local beach area. It's 8:08.
Traffic and weather on the 8s and when it breaks.
On Friday mornings during the summer, it is quiet. You will find a little bit of heavy traffic passing New Hampshire and University over toward George Avenue. Typical any time of the year. You'll find 270s wide open southbound from Frederick all the way down toward the lane divide. You'll be on time. 95 in the Baltimore-Washington Parkway should cost you any time as well, both directions between the beltways. There's a little heavy traffic remaining on 295 southbound near Benning, headed down to and across the 11th Street Bridge. There'd been a crash westbound on the freeway out near Main Avenue. Everything was moved over to the shoulder, so your travel lanes are open. No problems down around the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, either loop, between Alexandria and Oxon Hill. I-95 northbound cleared out a long time ago. You're wide open from a quiet, headed up into Springfield. Same way 395 all the way up to the 14th Street Bridge. There is a wrinkle on 66. Your eastbound delay begins in Manassas, trying to get to 29 in Centerville, right there in the Gore area. There's activity from an earlier accident, but your travel lanes are open. Currently rubbernecking. You're good to go beyond that from Centerville, headed toward the Beltway, inside the Beltway toward Roslyn, and across the Roosevelt Bridge. Switch your checking account to CQ. Get the tools you need, the service you expect, plus mobile deposit. Ditch your bank and switch to CQ. Visit secumd.org. CQ, different direction. Jack Taylor, WTOP Traffic.
All right, we're talking with Lauren Ricketts right now about the weather for Friday and the weekend. And what do you make of these clouds and the haze out there this morning? Too much to have a great day?
Yeah, it's going to be a great day. And actually, it's funny because we have some of that haze coming, and if you can believe it or not, coming out of the northern territories in Canada because some of the wildfires up
right into the mid-Atlantic, and that's why we had such a beautiful sunset last night, and also some of this haze that's still sticking around this morning. But we also have that sunshine out there right now. More clouds will fill in later this afternoon, mainly to the south, and that's due to a frontal system that's kind of just set up shop over the Carolinas. That frontal system is going to be there all weekend, and the areas of low pressure are going to ride along it like a train. So with that being said, temperatures today will be in the mid-80s. Tomorrow and Sunday, low 80s with chances of rain south of here, south of D.C. Throughout each day. Then we'll also have some isolated showers around on Monday. Temperatures low 80, better chances of some showers and thunderstorms on Tuesday for everybody. 72 in D.C., 61 in Gaithersburg, and 64 in Fredericksburg.
Oh, sounds so good, Lauren. Thank you. It's 8:10 here and 71 degrees here in Northwest Washington with some of those clouds in the sky. We will, however, go up to the mid-80s this afternoon.
Live from the Glass Enclosed Nerve Center, this is Washington's top news. 103.5 FM and WTOP.com. Here are Mike Moss and Joe Jones.
Well, good Friday morning. Didn't you have a little fun last night? I know you did. Fans are already getting excited about the Redskins, and that's after a preseason win.
Football is back, and expectations are up.
Couldn't wait, honestly, couldn't wait. I can't even begin to tell you how happy I am to be here.
Robert Griffin III played just one series, but the offense rolled and the defense gave little ground in the first look at the new team.
Offense looks pretty good. Alfred Morris did an incredible job.
Yeah.
He is the man.
What our problem was last year, we didn't have an offensive line. Now we do.
The Skins now have more than a week to get ready for the Browns. At FedEx Field, Andrew Mullenbeck, WTOP News.
8:11 now, a killer caught on camera. Police are asking for help after a gas station clerk was shot dead in Hanover, Maryland. And it's all on video surveillance.
This is a cold-blooded murder.
TJ Smith with Anne Arundel County Police. The crime was caught by security cameras. It shows the suspect early Thursday morning entering the Exxon station off Maryland 175 in Ridge Road in Hanover. Police say the gunman, an African-American man in shorts with a hoodie pulled up and his face covered, shot and killed the gas station clerk. That clerk was Raj Kumar, 49 years old. ABC 7 spoke to the victim's housemate, who was stunned at the brutality of the crime.
He was a hard worker and a good friend, too.
You can find the surveillance video at our website. Search Shooter in Anne Arundel County. Kathy Stewart, WTOP News.
And investigators, by the way, are still trying to find witnesses. They say someone in a dark-colored Range Rover may have seen what happened.
8:12, and to the corruption trial of Virginia's former governor we go as the focus shifts to how much special treatment that Johnny Williams, the businessman, may have gotten from the former First Family.
Johnny Williams was called the Tic Tac Man in the office of Virginia Health Secretary Bill Hazel because of Williams' constant push for his unproven little pills. But Hazel says he still sent an advisor to meet with the Star Scientific boss, quote, because the governor asked. It's an important demonstration that the governor took some official action to help Williams, who gave the First Family $165,000 in gifts and loans. The trial is picking up speed, including talk of the governor driving Williams' Ferrari and wearing a Rolex. The mansion director said Maureen McDonald yelled and screamed and thought people were out to get her. Sarah Scarborough also testified the governor may be in denial about his wife's mental state. In Richmond, Max Smith, WTOP News.
It's now 8:13. It might look like diamonds are falling through the sky this weekend. The northern hemisphere will be treated to a supermoon and, at the same time, some meteor showers. It's going to happen early Sunday morning, as many as 100 shooting stars per hour.
Wow, what a show that's going to be.
Meantime, the Earth will be at its closest distance to the moon, so it's going to make it seem like it's pretty big in the sky.
Too bad it couldn't happen at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but in those early morning hours, getting up early, you know? Well, you can have your cake, and apparently you can eat it too if you like having cake for breakfast. As the first 500 visitors at the National Aquarium in Baltimore will get a free slice of cake this morning. It's the aquarium's birthday, and they are celebrating with cake.
Cake.
Doors open in less than an hour at 9 o'clock. Bring a good appetite.
Oh, absolutely. Coming up here on WTOP, a new chapter in Iraq will go in depth. Also, the Redskins' big win last night. Dave is next. It's 8:14.
Test your newsmaker knowledge this weekend with WTOP's Mystery Newsmaker Contest. Listen Saturday and Sunday in the 8 a.m. hour. Correctly identify the Mystery Newsmaker, and you could win 4 signature service oil changes from any participating D.C. area Jiffy Lube location. That's this
WTOP.
Today on WTOP.com, 40 years after resigning, Nixon lives, at least on Twitter. In our text section, meet the D.C. man who wants Kenny Loggins to play in his living room. And in Living, a clinic on how to be the perfect gentleman. Click now on WTOP.com, your homepage for Washington's top news.
Sports at 15 and 45 on WTOP, fed by Lido Pizza.
8:15, yeah, it was preseason, Dave Preston, but it beats losing.
And the Redskins pounded out on the ground in their 23-6 preseason win over New England.